Here we are in historic Mechanics Hall in Worcester, Massachusetts, a splendid hall built in 1857, recording the Mozart piano sonatas on an instrument similar to the one that he would have known. As Mozart's style was evolving, the making of pianos was evolving. By the time Beethoven came on the scene, pianos were developing as quickly as today computers are developing. And people discard computers constantly because they get processors that go faster, because they've got hard disks that have more storage capacity. And in this period of time, the range of the piano was constantly growing larger. You wanted to play higher, and you wanted to play lower, and you also wanted to play more forcefully. So we decided that, in fact, the sensible thing to do was to begin at the beginning with the earliest pieces and have them on this copy of a Johann Andreas Stein piano, the kind that Mozart encountered when he was writing these sonatas, and to go forward from there through Mozart's creative output, graduating from one instrument to the next, so that you, as you experience these pieces, are in fact living in a very, very tangible and tactile, oral way the very, very development which went hand in glove with the evolution of Mozart's creative mentality. Going into the recording studio for a performer who believes in spontaneity is a volatile and rather dangerous process. There is always a difference between having an audience in the room and having a sense of communicating. Every single member of the audience wants to feel that you are playing only for her, only for him. But when you're playing for an empty room and all you see is some microphones and some cables on the floor and so on and so forth, inspiration is in short supply. You know that the one thing that is extremely important is accuracy. And if there are inaccurate passages, then you will record them over and maybe over and then maybe over again. I'm going to do this again because the D keeps on sticking in the trill. Let me go back to... And perhaps these things will be cobbled together by the recording engineer, and by the time they're cobbled together, the sense of a grand, dramatic narrative arch will be gone, and that's not very good. I probably won't slow down that much. Furthermore, if you do what I do, which is to make up ornaments all of the time, in every take, and they're different, what happens when you put them together? And the odd notes a little stronger, but I think it's partially about playing the fortes down a little bit too. The effect of going from one ornament to another may suffer if you put the wrong two together. So there's something really quite unnatural about the process of recording, and one tries to put it out of one's mind and think idealistically of that ultimate audience that will buy the record and listen to it. What the 19th century did to Mozart was it turned Mozart into the definition of taste, of elegance, of beauty. In short, it turned Mozart into a fashion model, a beautiful face, a mask. And as a result of that, it cultivated an attitude towards Mozart performance in which things needed to be smooth, things needed to be poised, things needed to be beautiful. And of course, what starts by being a notion of beauty ends up being rather prettified. And so we get performances of Mozart that tend to embalm him rather than to enliven him. And to turn Mozart into an object which is just simply nice, pleasant, pretty, is to me unforgivable, because his music teems with all of the disorder of the human condition. Very few composers have the ability to manage to show us who we are, to get the rise out of us. And the melodies that he writes in these cases are very often beautiful tunes, as they are in the operas, heaven knows, in Figaro and Così fan tutte, in Don Giovanni, and of course in the keyboard music, which is, in a sense, opera without words. If I just simply play quickly a few moments from these early sonatas, we start. That one. We next go to the second one. You know, the absolute appeal for solace, for consolation, the F minor key of passion. We go on to the next one, and then we're in the amoroso mode. We go on to the next one, and we begin with a slow movement. The next one is And I think what one notices the most about these is how very different they are. There isn't a formula for a Mozart slow movement, he would say, but there's no formula for human beings.